Midna! Yay! Hey, I'm gonna review a really quick review over the recent Legend of Zelda Skyward Swords. Singular, sorry. Well, what can I say about Zelda? Outside of the obvious, yes, I am very much a Zelda fan. Very, very much a Zelda fanboy. Now, I didn't get the special edition gold box with the special Wii remote that has a bundled in Wii Motion Plus. It's kind of inside of it. Although now I kind of reconsidered, I might have gotten it, but I got this as a Christmas gift. I originally didn't want to get it. Actually, I was thinking of getting the new Ratchet and Clank game or Uncharted 3, but I got it as a gift from my cousin's wife, and I was really, really happy to get it. To be honest, I didn't expect it. I was happy with just getting a few discount games or anything cheaper. So, without much further ado, I'm going to talk a bit about Zelda. Story-wise, it's Link is now living in the skies. If you've played the previous games, Ocarina of Time does mention a lot about the goddesses of the skies coming down, helping create the land, and this is the story of that. It's similar to a simplified Harry Potter style village in which Link lives and he's training to be a knight. Each one of the kids have their own tunics and their own design, and each one of the designs looks very, very similar to previous Zelda games. So early on, like maybe a good hour into the game, you were in heavy text and small little tutorials explaining you how to like experience the world. And then with that, you have a lot of interactions with Zelda. She isn't kidnapped yet. So this is where the game gets really, really good, and it helps at least establish a relationship between Link and Zelda. And it's really good. It's really interesting. There's this bit of tension, which I'm not sure if it's like bad video game storytelling, which sometimes it happens, or by accident, but there's this bit of a sexual tension between Link and Zelda. It's a bit not overt. It's a bit more innocent, and it helps a lot. It helps a lot more than previous Zelda games ever did before. Zelda is very much a better character this time around. Aside from that, there are other students in there. Most notably is Groose, a bully-like character, who eventually gets all depressed when Zelda gets kidnapped, and then eventually he joins in the story in a very, very big way. It's silly, it's humorous. In fact, it's one of the best things about the game. Really great personality with him. He really does add a lot more to it. But simply put, this game looks fabulous. The art direction is beautiful. It's wonderful. Never really a dull moment. I do think because of the filtering effects that you see, which I've noticed before in Wind Waker, the way the depth of field works, you can see a lot of it in Wind Waker. But it's really good. Extremely expressive characters. Link emotes a lot. Not as much as Wind Waker, but he still emotes a lot. And really just great characters to be around. Although nobody as charming as Midna. One of the biggest complaints that I have with the game, it's not very well written, and it's very redundant. It's it kind of insults the intelligence to a lot of people, but compared to a Twilight Princess, Fi, your companion character, is really boring and kind of annoying more than anything else. It's not that bad of a thing. It's okay, to be honest. It's kind of a, to be honest, it's compared to a lot of games out there, it's pretty good. It's pretty decent. Some of the characters are extremely charming, like Groose is one of them. A lot of the Gorgons are really, really charming. It's like as you go on with your story, you're gonna visit a lot of interesting characters, and they have their own unique quirks. Um, Outside of that, sword fighting is really fun. Um, the Wii Motion Plus does have some problems, some pretty noticeable problems. There's alignment errors. There's a few slowdowns, like not one to one, just a little bit of a lag in between it. It's noticeable after a while. Luckily, they let you press the down button, which will let you realign everything, and then I'll be back to normal. It's not the worst thing ever. It's just noticeable, and it's not perfection. But still, the sword fighting is a lot of fun. The beetle, the beetle weapon, which replaces the boomerang. No boomerang in this game. That's probably the most fun. Just sliding it out, scouting out, seeing what's up ahead, just exploring, seeing different points of view. That's probably the best weapon out there in there. The dungeons are really interesting because the world is much smaller than previous Zelda games, but you have to backtrack a lot, and you get to explore and re-see a lot of the dungeons through different points of view. You will go back on dungeons, you will go back through certain fields, and it's interesting seeing them separate on different experiences. Um, Aside from that, the negatives, like I was saying, the writing is not the worst in the world. But I do think Nintendo's translation team, who worked on Animal Crossing and Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story specifically, are really talented. They're really witty, they're really charming. Here, because Fee is like a robot kind of character, she lacks a lot of personality, and it gets really redundant. So even if you are the most patient player, it will kind of grind on you. Now, to be honest, my critiques do feel a lot more along the lines of talking to a student who just got an A in class, and you want them to get an A plus, or you want them to get extra credit, because Nintendo doesn't feel like they're dragging their feet on this game. This game is extremely good at showing off how motion controls should be done in a really longer game. And to some extent it is a little bit mini-game-ish, but you don't feel that way compared to other games. But there's been 8 games since Phantom Hourglass, and the good thing about this, I noticed, I think I've mentioned this to my friends, but this does feel a lot like Wind Waker, Link's Awakening for the Game Boy, Majora's Mask. It does feel one of those offshoot games that is unique and quirky because the world is so much smaller. There's a lot more personality and a lot more characters to explore. It never gets anywhere creepy like Majora's Mask or Tingle, like straight out really creepy. There are some. It's kind of unique in its own way, but nothing really creepy. But like the Afro oil salesman in part Twilight Princess, kind of like those weird things. A lot of the people around there have that kind of charm. A lot more care into the people's expressions and stuff like that. It's really charming game. I mean, me personally, as a Zelda fan, I would say that I really feel like, as a Zelda fan, Secret of Mana has taken place of Zelda, Okami has taken place of Zelda, so me, I don't obsess about the Zelda games as much as I used to. To me, the best game still is the original one. And every now and then it feels good that every 5 years or so, you come up and you play a interesting Zelda game. This one is really good, really great. Again, like I said, it's like an A, a 9, a really high scoring game. It's something that needs to be experienced. You just kind of wish a little bit, just little bits and tweaks here and there to give it extra credit to make it even better and better. Because there's a lot of competitions out there. Okami, to me, is the best example. To me, this is more like a bit more like Majora's Mask or Link's Awakening than Ocarina of Time. So there is this kind of I would say it's big. It took me 40 hours to beat the game, and I'm on my second playthrough. I don't mind doing it again. I kind of want to go for the outside missions and check it out and see some other things in the game. It's really charming. It's really good. I just wish Nintendo would have just polished it in certain cases. There's things that might annoy a lot of people, and you know what? So what? It's really great. Check it out if you can. It comes in with an awesome game track. If you can pay attention in the background, I'm playing the Link to the Past, Link's Awakening music. Can't seem to find it. I know the Game Boy game's around here somewhere. Is this it? Damn it! Battletoads. Let me see, try another guess. Keep my glasses in here. It's in here somewhere. Maybe it's in the original Game Boy cart box. Ah, so much crap. CDs, stuff like that. I really should not be doing this. Ah well, screw it. But it does feel a lot of references to Link's Awakening in here. The Windfish is back, which is probably the biggest surprise for me as a fan. And, you know, it's very fanboyish, it's really good, but I do think, like, considering, like, you know, I kept thinking about this while playing Arkham City, Batman Arkham City. That's a better adventure game, action-adventure game that Zelda has to compete with. Right now, what it has going for it is the sword fighting. The sword fighting is extremely charming, extremely interesting. It's deep. Like I said, there is a little bit of lag, so you might get disappointed with it or annoyed by it. There are some points where it kind of does get annoying. Still, it's really good. The way you go around dungeons and stuff like that is really impressive. I would say the pirate ship is definitely my favorite moment in there. But there was a lot of moments where I just kept thinking of Batman Arkham City, especially the part where you unlock Mr. Freeze's freeze bomb and start making little little rafts as you're hopping from one to another. And in this game, you do have to do that. You have to get like little water bubbles and then put them on the lava so you can hop onto it. I don't know, I just felt like Batman Arkham City did it better. It was a little bit more interesting. And Assassin's Creed 2 was another game that kind of made me think like Zelda needs to compete with these things. Although, again, I go back to saying this is like an A student's work, that you want them to be even better. And it's still really remarkably great. And like I said, as long as you don't kind of compare it with maybe Ocarina of Time, you're gonna have a lot more fun. It's just a little bit more they could have done, but still, overall, the sword fighting's really good, and some of the character expressions and some of their animations so amazing, and you're just so excited to try another sword fight. So anyway, Legend of Zelda Skyward Swords, highly recommended. Say, go out there and get it. It's really great.